8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Sound seems to be working. So we are going to get started. I need to do something about the lighting in the house. Friends, thanks for dropping by. My name is Toby. I'm 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to sleep between 7 to 9 hours in a night. Last night I hit the magic number of 7.5, about 8 hours total in bed, maybe 7 hours and 15 minutes, but 7.5 hours of sleep, which is right where I would like it to land. Actually, preferably every day. I tend to not suffer a lot of afternoon dips when I have that amount of sleep, and I tend to be quite well focused and feel quite well rested. I do that by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance. The goal is to maintain the same weight over life, over my lifespan. So to try and stay at this, more or less this level. That puts me around 2,200 calories in a day. Yesterday was definitely a more inactive day. I didn't really have a chance after my morning workout to do a lot of other activities throughout the day, except for walking. I wasn't able to eat a lot more yesterday. But that is more or less where I put the marker to hit that every day and to see how satiated or hungry I am. I try to eat a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables, a lot of nutrients, so to speak, from varied sources. I have fish, I think, at least once a week. I have meat once a week. And I generally try to hit my protein intake between 60 and 80 grams on a regular day, and between 80 and 100 grams on a day that I am lifting weights. I usually just supplement with a protein shake in the morning after the workout. I try to do some training. I try to show up for strength training, try to show up for conditioning training, I try to show up for strength conditioning training, for mobility training, steady state cardio, low intensity, some higher intensity, steady state cardio, sprints, all different kinds of modalities that I try to train in just to make sure that my general athletic ability is good and that I'm doing well, that my body is functioning and healthy. I try to spend time with people I love and care about, do things that I enjoy, generally try to live a stress-free life. That entire package hopefully is going to keep me healthy and fit for a lifetime. Because this is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I want to feel fit, capable, and competent for life and for whatever life is going to throw at me. All right, friends. I explain a bit more about why I do this. I think for now the most important thing is that the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So we're going to get started with today's workout, and we're going to talk about why I think this health and fitness is so important. Even though for you, YouTube punk, I'm pretty sure you know why this is important and you're already living it. Thanks for dropping by, for saying hi. I hope you're doing well. I hope life is treating you well. And I hope that the day in Texas is a good day for you. Now, so why do I find this important? Well, there are a couple of things that we need to be mindful of here. And that is that as the population ages, the lifespan increases. Right, so if we look at lifespans globally and lifespans locally, may the force be with you as well, YouTube punk. As we look at lifespan increasing, you'd expect that everyone is having a ball, right? We're getting older. We have all of these wonderful technological advancements, things that we can do. Places where we can go. Things to learn, to discover about the world we live in. But we actually see that people, especially after 60, sure, they're going to live to be 80 or 85. I think right now it is 86 is the running estimation for me, right? I'm going to live to be maybe 86 years old, but it's actually expected. Cleaning up the workout area at the moment. I love it. So you're going to be working out. That's good. At work, Foreman Jim, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. Hope you're well. We're just having a general talk about why health and fitness matters. Both of you feel free to chime in with some ideas from your end of the world. So I might live to be 86, but what have you got? You get, for all those extra years, you get 5 years, 6 years of living with discomfort, disease, hardship, a lot of which is related to poor health choices made in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I don't know about you, but I don't do well when I'm unwell. Apparently, there's a chance, because there are never any guarantees in life. But there's a chance to build health and fitness over the course of a lifetime. In a way that is going to keep us active, healthy, and able, and hopefully disease-free for as long as we can. Amazing. There we go. Right. So the idea that The idea of training and of staying fit and healthy is not a very strange one. It's not one that we want to scoff at, because I think history and time shows us now that we have 40, 50, 60 years of data, in some cases, that being active and being fit help us make more of life as we live it. So it's important to keep that in mind as we're going. All right, friends? So what does that mean? It means that we have some control over how well we age in terms of our capacity and overall well-being. Appreciate that, and slow and controlled is an amazing training strategy. I think it's one that we don't utilize near enough. So we're going to live longer. We want to stay healthier. What are the things that we need to do? Do we need to go out and buy expensive programs, training courses, supplements? Thankfully, the answer to that is no. You can just come to this channel, subscribe, and we can have that conversation. I'm only partially joking. You should subscribe to my channel if you're watching, obviously. But what we need to understand is that when it comes to living, we have a lifestyle already, right? We have a lifestyle that informs our current health outcomes. So if we're very honest with ourselves and we look at the things we're doing right now and the way we're doing them, the way we sleep, the way we eat, the way we move, the way we're connected with our friends, the way we have something that's worth pursuing for the sake of pursuing it, just for ourselves, a hobby, right? But a hobby that requires us to engage body, mind, focus, learning, and ability. Well, we can see how that mix is affecting us today. I think the decision we all have to make is whether we think that this level of fitness is going to keep us healthy and active through our 60s, 70s, and into our 80s, given the fact that we know that deterioration is inevitable, right? So we know that after 30, our cardiorespiratory system declines in how well it works. We know that our bone mineral density, if not challenged, will decline. Just came back from a run. There's my goal, 45. Hey, very nice. Good stuff. Thanks for dropping by, for saying hi. I hope you're doing well. It's nice of you to share your goals and your progress. And I hope you're having a good day where you're at in the world. I hope it's a good end of the day or start of the day, depending on where you're at. So you can see yourself today and you understand where you're at in terms of bone mineral density, in terms of cardiovascular health, in terms of muscle volume strength, and in terms of whether you're at a healthy weight or overweight. And the good news is, if you're in a good spot and you have some routines in place, that despite the given deterioration that we'll experience as we age, it's going to keep you in a good spot. That's great. I love that. If the answer is well, I know that I am already not in the best spot, and it is going to get worse and worse as I age on this trajectory. And the time to start doing something is today. All right? And there are already some small, simple changes that we can make that'll have huge implications compared to our starting point. And I think that is the reference that we need to understand, is where does our fitness journey start and how do we improve from that point onwards towards, well, where am I after 1 year, and how does that stack up against the optimal fitness levels that I might be able to achieve. That is absolutely true. Better. I don't do burpees for that reason. I think the impact on my back, especially the lower back, no matter how slow or fast I do them, is too big and not worth the trade-off. I mean, they're an efficient energy burning tool and a full body workout, but not if you keep getting hurt and injured and sore in a bad way after doing it. Whew. All right. Deadlifts. Every other day. That's a great goal to set for yourself. Something to aspire to. I think goals can keep us motivated and on track with our training. And then when we reach one milestone, we develop another one. And we take what we learned from the one and apply it to the next one. Think, how's that workout space looking? How's that workout space looking, YouTube punk? Chased by them llamas on the ranch that I used to herd in Texas. Isn't that something? All right. Whew. All right, so I have this idea in mind now, right? We know our starting point in terms of how well we're sleeping, how well we're eating, how well we're moving, what our cardiovascular health, cardiorespiratory health, what our strength and conditioning, what our gut health and size is like, and we want to see small improvements. So what do? We start to sleep better, as in we start to prioritize it. We start to make sure we hit that 7 hours at least, and ideally getting to that 8 hours every night. Let's give ourselves 30 nights a year where we are not going to sleep as well as we could. It's that simple. Future Punk has a yeah, the llamas. So, just to stay on point here, right? We're going to sleep better. We're going to pick a fixed waking up time and to calculate our go to bed time for that. And we're going to give ourselves an hour of margin. And between, without light, without stimulation, you can read a book, you can sit and do breath work, you can meditate, you can do your mobility in the 20 minutes before you go to bed. As long as you're doing it slow and easy by candlelight or red light, but really making sure that we have that space of 8 or 9 hours that we are actually focused on relaxing and getting the rest we need. Okay? Fourth set. So that's sleep. I have a hard time. You can see. Well, is my back fully healed? No. I still feel it once in a while. I actually feel it more this week. I did this 10-kilometer run Sunday morning, which felt really good. But I think my back just wasn't ready for that intensity, so lesson learned. So I'm scrubbing that down. I'm actually going to do only walking again for 2 weeks to see if that pain goes away. The lifting and the movements here don't contribute to it, are not painful, don't seem to make it worse. So I'll keep doing that. But my guess is this is going to be the case for another 6 months or so, or at least up to 6 months, so another 4 months or so, and we'll just have to work around it. Which is a shame, because I was so looking forward to making the most of summer. But I also need to be mindful that we are going to be hiking through the mountains in 6 weeks. And the goal is to be fit and healthy for that. So I need to mind my intensity. And speaking of the intensity challenge, whether it's a zone 2 run or a 4-week training cycle, right? Or the recovery from injury cycle. Right now, the hardest battle is the one in our minds where we feel invincible because we find out we're capable, and then we push ourselves over the limit. And this has been hard for me to control. I think it's hard for anyone to control the passion and the excitement and the adrenaline. Willpower, mental toughness, it's also good training. One of the things I've found, strangely enough, that has helped me is to do a very simple focus exercise by picking one point and teaching myself to focus on it for 60 seconds at a time. Because what happens is the mind wanders, and as it wanders off, I actually can bring it back to focus. And in my training, the focus point is a certain heart rate zone, or a certain number of sets and weights, and nothing more. And then also bringing my mind back to that agreement with myself and reminding myself that I have to show up again tomorrow, so maybe that helps. So we're going to sleep better. Then we're going to take charge of our food and drinking by adding a glass of water before every meal, and by understanding the concept of energy balance. That is, that our body has a baseline energy requirement that is tied to our ideal weight. And you could be plus or minus 100, 150 in that. And then we're going to try to simply eat within that energy balance foods that will keep us full and satiated. And foods that are nutrient-rich and calorie-poor. Foods that are fresh, that we prepare ourselves, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a while. And we're going to learn over the course of 1 or 2 years where our biggest challenges are in terms of the foods that we eat and the health goals that we have for ourselves. And you'll see that this is one of the biggest primary challenges we will have in our health and fitness journey because of the food environment. And it's not one that we're going to solve for a lifetime in a year or by going on a crash diet or an extreme diet. It's one that we are going to bring to ourselves over the course of a decade, because it's taken us 2 or 3 decades to develop the habits we have today, and we want to change them, chip away at them, create new choices, pathways, and understandings of food. And that is just going to take time. I'm 10 years into this journey almost. And I'm still learning new things about food and the effects it can have on my health, as well as the patterns that I'm trying to break. The final bastion of ultra-processed food in my life are the Oreos and Coca-Cola and the Burger King Whopper. Those have persisted where all others are still and gone and buried, right? So what is it about those foods that elicits a huge craving and triggers a whole slew of actions, including me willing to drive 30 minutes to get my hands on a burger that isn't even that tasty? But that is that tasty. There are emotions and memories ingrained in our food. Okay. Food is functional, it's social, it's pleasurable, and we need to acknowledge that in order to actually be able to make any significant type of change in our dietary patterns. I have a fantasy about sitting in an American diner, having a burger, fries with ketchup and Coca-Cola, having driven to the diner in my Cadillac. Right? These are the movies and the stories I grew up with as a kid. All right, that's it, friends. Let's take a minute to sit down, take a breath. Yeah, as well. And I need some water. There we go. All right, we made it to the end of another session, friends. What can I say? It's been a good morning. Morning's not over yet. I'll be over in the kitchen making my coffee, recording the podcast, which, since it's Wednesday, is about movement, which is going to be the next topic that we need to talk about in terms of taking control of our health and fitness. But mastering the basics: sleep, food, movement, and then start looking into friendships and hobbies and try to see where your life comes together. And just be mindful that all of that is built on a foundation of financial health, societal peace, right? Security of living. Those are all things we shouldn't take for granted. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, you're good just the way you are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today who's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. All right? There are enough people out there who want to put us down. We lift ourselves up, friends. If you enjoyed the workout, like to chat about health and fitness, share with a friend. Let's have a conversation about growing old, healthy and fit. Hit like, subscribe, as always. It helps the channel, it helps people find the video. And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So I will be seeing you tomorrow. Isn't that something? For another workout. Duh, YouTube punk, poor man's gym. Thanks for dropping by. And remember, friends, subscribe.